Good morning, children. Sai Ram. Today, from your English course book, we will study the sixth lesson, An Education in Science by Stephen William Hawking. Part first. Before starting with the lesson, I want you to be ready with a book and a pen to jot down the meanings as and when I'll be giving you, or some of the meanings I will be telling you while teaching the lesson. Before starting with the lesson, let me tell you something about the author. Stephen William Hawking was an English theoretical physicist, cosmologist, author, and the director of research at the Center for Theoretical Cosmology at the University of Cambridge. Stephen Hawking was also the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics. He achieved commercial success with several works of popular science, in which he discusses his own theories and cosmology in general. His book, A Brief History of Time, appeared on the The Sunday Times bestseller list for a record-breaking 237 weeks. That is almost 5 years. He was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. That is a type of paralysis, and he lived with it for 50 years. The present extract is from Stephen Hawking's Black Holes and Baby Universes and Other Essays. In this extract, he reflects on the present state of science. Science and technology are changing, and it is changing the world rapidly. But are they in the right direction? So he says that it is very important for the people to have basic knowledge of science. He also talks about how science is taught in school. He gives tips to improve scientific temperament of the people with the help of television. He also talks about the horrors of nuclear science, nuclear war. So let's see what he wants to speak. So let's start with the lesson. An Education in Science. Whether we like it or not, the world we live in has changed a great deal in the last 100 years, and it is likely to change even more in the next 100 years. So what does he say? That the world at present where we are living is changing very fast. In the last 100 years, it has changed a lot, and it is likely to change faster in the next 100 years. Some people would like to stop these changes and go back to what they see as a purer and simpler age. That means some people may be conservatives, so they don't like the changes, and they might think that the old world was very simple and very pure. There was no problem. But what he says, however, as history shows, the past was not that wonderful. It was not so bad for a small privileged minority. Though even they had to do without modern medicine, and childbirth was a highly risky for women. But for the vast majority of the population, life was nasty, brutish, and short. So history shows that past was better for only a handful of people, those who were having benefits, that is privileged minority. That means a small section of people, those who had all the benefits. But for the vast population, those who were not having all the benefits, it was very difficult for them. Many people used to die for want of medicine. Anyway, even if one wanted to, one can't put the clock back to an earlier age. Knowledge and techniques can't just be forgotten. So he says that we cannot go back to earlier age even if we want to. We cannot forget the techniques or the knowledge which we have gained. Nor can one prevent further advances in the future. One cannot stop inquiring minds from thinking about basic sciences, whether or not they are not paid for it. The only way to prevent further developments would be a global totalitarian state that suppressed anything new. But human initiative and ingenuity is such that even this would not succeed. All that it would do is slow down the rate of change. So, as the knowledge and technology cannot be forgotten, same way, no one can prevent further development in the future. One cannot stop inquiring minds. Inquiring minds, that is ever questioning mind, they cannot be stopped about thinking. They will think. They will come out with new ideas, whether they are paid for it or not. As a scientist come out with new ideas. You can quote the example of Newton. When the apple fell on him, he thought about it and came out with the theory of gravitation. Was he paid for it? No, he came out with the ideas. So same way, people will be coming out with the ideas. They will not stop thinking. Only a totalitarian state can suppress from bringing about anything new. Now, what is a totalitarian state? It's a political system wherein the government is having the power only to think or tell about the development. The people doesn't have, the ordinary people doesn't have the power. But he says the human initiative, that is ability of human beings, are such in finding out new, inventing things, that is ingenuity, that is finding out the new things, is such that even that would not be successful. Only they can just slow the rate of change. They cannot put a full stop to it, because people will not stop thinking. So development will be going on. Let us see the meanings of the new words which we have come across. Privileged minority means a small section of population with all the benefits. Inquiring, that is questioning. Initiative, ability to lead in action and effort. Totalitarian, based in a political system in which ordinary people have no power and are completely controlled by the government. Ingenuity, skill at inventing things. If we accept that we cannot prevent science and technology from changing our world, we can at least try to ensure that the changes are in the right directions. So we see that if we are accepting that we cannot stop science and technology from changing our world, we have to try to make sure that the changes, whatever is taking place, it should be in the right direction. In a democratic society, this means that the public needs to have a basic understanding of science so that it can make informed decisions and not be left in the hands of experts. So, what does he say now? He talks about the society. He says that people should have basic understanding of science. They should know how to take decision and should not leave everything in the hands of the experts. They should understand science. At the moment, the public has a rather ambivalent attitude to science. It has come to expect the steady increase in the standard of living that new developments in science and technology have brought to continue. But it also distrusts science because it doesn't understand it. The author says that people have rather ambivalent attitude. That means they have a contrasting attitudes. That is, one hand they expect the steady increase in the standard of living due to development in science and technology, but they distrust science. They don't trust science because they don't understand it. This distrust is shown in the cartoon character of the mad scientist working in his laboratory to produce a Frankenstein. So he says, as people have distrust in science, which can be compared to the cartoon character of the scientist who wanted to create his own reflection, and he creates a monster. And what do you find? The monster kills the creator. So that is why people feel, they don't have trust in science. They feel that whatever things we are creating, like atom bombs or nuclear weapons, whatever we are creating, it can kill us. So people don't trust science. But the public also has a great interest in science, particularly astronomy, as is shown by the large audiences for television series such as Cosmos and for science fiction. So he says that, but people has a great interest in science in the branch of astronomy. How? Because the American audiences, they used to like the series of Cosmos and other science fiction stories. What can be done to harness this interest and give the public the scientific background it needs to make informed decisions on subjects like acid rain, the greenhouse effect, nuclear weapons, and genetic engineering? Clearly, the basis must be what is taught in schools. But in schools, science is often presented in a dry and uninteresting manner. So people are interested in science. But what can be done to harness, that is, make use of this interest of science? What to do to give the people the scientific background so that they can take proper decision on subjects like acid rain, then the greenhouse effect, nuclear weapons, and genetic engineering. So, if you understand what are the causes of acid rain, why acid rain is affecting the people, what are the things you should do so that you can reduce the effect, then the greenhouse effect, how increase of carbon dioxide and it is affecting the environment, then the nuclear weapons and genetic engineering. So what is genetic engineering? It's a science of the changing of the structure of the genes of a living thing in order to make it healthier, stronger, and more useful to human beings. So we have now new hybrid products, agricultural products, new medicines which are coming up, how it is affecting the human beings. So people should understand it and make an informed decision. That is, they should be informed about all these things and then they should make proper decision about it. Now, how can this happen? All this is based on the schools, how it is taught, how science is taught in schools. In schools, they are taught in a dry and uninteresting manner. Why? Because they are taught in a theoretical way. This should be taught, in relevance to what is going on in the world. Then only it would be interesting. Let's have the meanings of the new words we have come across. Ambivalent, that is divided or contrasting. Frankenstein, that is a monster that destroys its creator, the cartoon character. Harness, make use of. With this, we come to the end of today's session. The concluding part of this lesson will be completed in the next session. Till then, goodbye. Have a nice day.